Hey, where are you located?
Oh, I'm in Arkansas.
Arkansas. Okay. Well, I'm Cincinnati. So hold on, Arkansas. Are you? Are you Eastern time or no?
No, this is Central over here.
All right. So it's 7:54 for you.
Yep.
Oh, okay. 8:54 for me. All right. Cool. Gotcha. Arkansas. You might be the only dude I know in Arkansas.
There's not many of us. I'm the only
Yeah.
civilized one here. The rest got
Right.
outhouses and everything.
Right. You got indoor plumbing. Good on you.
Yeah. Welcome back to Talking with Dean. I got a good guest this time, a real good guest. He hails from Cincinnati, Ohio, standing at 6'3", weighing in at 5.54 gigabytes. He is the founder of Vanilla Gaming Company. Here it is, Vanilla Beast.
That's me. People call me Vanilla.
How's it going, Dean? Thanks for having me on.
Oh yeah. So Vanilla, you got a game that's out right now. You mind telling me about this game? Like I don't already know what it is.
Right. Well, I mean, it's called VanillaBeast Retro Knockout, and it's actually part of a franchise. We got a whole series of games, and really what it's all, the whole thing in a nutshell is comedy, right? Let's make you laugh. Let's go back to when times were simpler, when people could just sit down, play a single player game, not worry about trolls and I mean, I love online games like the next person does, right? But there's something to be said about sitting down with an old school game where you can just chill, grab an adult beverage, laugh with your friends, play by yourself, whatever, and get that feel of what it used to be like to game back in the 90s. And we're doing a whole series on this.
Back in the 90s. What about the 80s?
Well, yeah, well, that's what Retro Knockout is. And, a lot of people don't realize it. Mike Tyson's Punchout, which this game is inspired by, was actually an 88 game, 1988.
Yes.
So I'm Generation X. I came in, thank God I'm not a millennial. So I call it the end of that Generation X in there. And when I was young, I was single digits when Mike Tyson's Punch-Out came out, and that was a big part of my life back then, how difficult the game was and figuring out King Hippo, figuring out all these guys. So when I went back and I said, listen, nobody can copyright a genre, right? Castlevania doesn't own side-scrolling platform. Medal of Honor or Doom doesn't own first-person shooters, right? So Mike Tyson's Punch-Out doesn't own a boxing game where you're a little dude punching up to a big guy, right?
Right. Yeah.
So we went back and we took that formula and created a brand new game. And as you know, the humor and everything we're about is adult humor, but it's like imagine Punch-Out grown up. Because see, one of the things that I noticed, man, if you notice most retro games, they call themselves retro, and they look retro, but you play it and the game holds your hand. It coddles you. There's a checkpoint every 10 seconds. There's no fear of death because you're going to start right where you left off. And it's like, that's not how gaming was in the 80s and the 90s. Like some games, like look at Ghosts and Goblins, man, you lose back to the start of the game. Now, we're not that rough, but I wanted to create an experience that brought you back to that feel of I finally beat this boss. It's taken me an hour, but I beat him. You feel good. Like I watched streamers play Retro Knockout. People's gotten out of their seats. You know what I mean? They've jumped up. They've gotten excited, and that's what I want to see. And that's kind of what we wanted to do with Retro Knockout. Things are too easy these days.
Very easy, very easy. You hit the nail on the head when you said holding the hand in there. Checkpoint every 10 seconds. Check that. And you had this game like finalized, whatever. You were going to put this game out no matter what, but you had a Kickstarter and the goal was to be set at 5K and you finished that within a day and finished with 17K. Great support.
Right. Yeah, actually within an hour.
Within an hour. Whew. Oh boy.
Exactly. I mean, you need to get your facts right.
Well, hey, that's just still in the day. Okay.
Yeah. Well, what helped us hit that so quick is we only had 5 spots to become a boxer. And a lot of people, it's funny. So when I see the game, when I see people play it, there's 4 boxers in the game that is just people. They're not parodies of anybody famous, pop culture, boxers, anything. They're just people that paid fair amount of money. I mean, a little less than because some of them had add-ons, but between $1,500 and $2,000 to be put into the game. And there's 4 of those guys in there. One of them is, I'll tell you, his name is Jules Cobra. People think that's part of like karate. And no, Jules is just a cool guy that wanted to be put and wanted to be captured in history. And so, I mean, when we had these neat rewards, some of the rewards were to be put into the crowd. So you see some of the people in the background, and some of those are parody characters. You can pick them out. Some of them you're like, man, who is that? Oh, it's just a guy. It's just a guy that paid to be put in. So yeah, we hit our goal in about an hour, which was awesome. And really, a lot of games these days, they use Kickstarter as a pre-order program, right? Mm-hmm. What they're doing, they don't need the money to get the game done. They're saying, okay, listen, if you give this bells and whistles, and that's kind of what we did. Now, some of them, they'll say, okay, we need, 30,000, 40, 50 to get the game done. And that's when it's a little bit of a risk, right? Because they're thinking, oh man, what if I pledge to this? They make 80,000. This game's 3 years away. Will I even be alive? Like, you know what I mean? Climate control.
There's no guarantee. Yeah.
Everybody's whining and crying about everything. So we did it the opposite. We were done. We were at the very end, and we said, hey, let's do a Kickstarter. And if people want to put themselves into the game as an opponent, or if they want to sponsor a ring, like one of the, like the Cammy Awards. I mean, that's an adult film star, actual company that does this big stuff. Well, they pledged because they wanted the Cammy Awards as a ring in the game. So it was a way for us to get some revenue started early and put some bells and whistles in the game, because this is, I mean, it's a one-man company. I mean, I'm 100% sole ownership here. I work with one programmer and one pixel artist. That is it. People think we're way bigger than we are. So that helped us do a few things at the end of the game. And then the plus side of that is we had a really quick turnaround, right? We got done in April or so, and the game was released in just a couple months. So it's not like you had to wait years for the product.
Yeah. And that was going to lead me to my next question. You had very nice tiers. One you didn't mention was people can actually be ringside for $300.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, that was the one where people were sitting in the ring. Yeah. So that was a really neat one for $300. And there was actually quite a few people that jumped on that. It's a neat thing. I had people asking me about that before I even did the Kickstarter. Yeah. Like, that's how much people wanted. They're like, can I be in the game? Because I want to see myself up front sitting next to some of these other cool people. I was like, well, of course, and you want to gauge it. I wanted to be, I'm not a corporation, so I don't want to price it out. I mean, it's not all about money. It's about people having a good time and seeing themselves in the game. And I wanted to price it to where, I mean, nowadays, $300, man, that's 2 trips to Cheesecake Factory. That's it.
Yeah. And you were you inspired by that one game, the Friday the 13th game, where it had that one dude that got on there for X amount of dollars?
You're being really vague here. That one guy, say that again.
It was on the Friday the 13th game.
Mm-hmm.
You could be in the game as a counselor.
Oh, as a counselor. As a counselor.
Yeah.
Well, that was, I mean, I love those guys. Gun Media is freaking awesome. I'm looking forward to Texas Chainsaw Massacre, man. I'm going to be streaming it just like everybody. I'm a gamer just like you guys are, man. I'm no different than anybody else. And yeah, that was cool. I mean, that's something I seen what they did back in the day. And sure, that inspired me to do something like that, because it's like, it's 2023. It's tough to just make everything up original. It's like you got to look back. I mean, that's why the movies are so terrible, man. Everything's a reboot, a rehash, a re-this. But you want to be original. $5K was minimum on that, right?
It was pricey.
That's what I'm saying. That's the difference between that but that's a good. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's a good point. Like I said, I wasn't trying to price people out. $299 you get you in. The bigger games, $5,000 gets you in. So you can kind of see the difference between a AAA studio like Gun Media and somebody like me chilling, just trying to do stuff like grassroots operation, really.
Yeah. And you mentioned, you could do the Become Infamous tier, and that would be, get you in the game as an opponent. I see you have one left on there. Is it too late to jump on that and get an update, or is the game final and no more updates? No more DLC?
No, there'll be updates. As a matter of fact, we have a really big update coming out in about 2 weeks at the end of August here. It's going to be a game balancing update. We're working on Steam Cloud, so that way your saves will go into the cloud. So if you want to play Steam Deck and all that, it'll all transfer over. But as far as that tier goes, yeah, that's over. We can't do any more Kickstarter stuff because that's a lot of animation, that's a lot of programming and all that stuff. And so what we're doing now is updating what we've got and doing fight balancing. But the funny thing is you say that what one guy did, he was nice about this, is you could add on, because so you have your tiers right in Kickstarter, and you can choose it as an add-on. Somebody actually added on to be an opponent in the game. Yeah. So that they left that spot open, right? So they're like, you know what? Instead of me taking that 5th spot, they pledged to a different tier, and then they added on the $1,500 infamous tier. Just to leave it open for one other person, which I thought that was pretty cool. It was a pretty cool guy that did that. But yeah, nobody got it at the end there, so that one was left open. But yeah, sorry, man, that's all locked up.
Oh man. Well, it's also coming out on the Atari VCS along with its own iArcade cabinet. When is that expected?
Well, no, the iArcade, they went out of business. That was a really bad situation.
I just saw it on the tier.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, there's not much to say about it other than we had everything set up. Everything was great. Everything was looking good. I was looking forward to seeing Retro Knockout on an iArcade, but they literally went bankrupt while we were in the middle of all this stuff. Like, I mean, it happened after the Kickstarter was over, not during the Kickstarter, because that got done. Everything was great. Everything's good. And then they went under. So, yeah, that was a situation that's 100% on them. So, bummer on that. But the VCS, we're working on it right now. We're putting the finishing touches on that. And see, the way that works, just to let you know, everybody know, if you're a bigger studio, you can work on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, Steam, VCS, whatever you want at the same time. But when you only got one programmer, you can't work on everything at once. So the plan is, let's get a great build on Steam that's not bugs, no, that's not glitchy, people aren't complaining, which we're not. We actually released, just like old school, right? We released retro. Remember back when the game was a cartridge?
Yeah, of course.
and there was no update in that cartridge. When a Nintendo Nintendo game came out and you put that in, that's your final product. And people cared about that back then because the developer knew I can't update that cartridge. There's nothing I can do. If I put out a bad game, I lose. Nowadays, so many companies are like, let's rush it. Let's get it out there. Let's make as much money as we can and we'll patch it later, right? That's not the way to do it. That's not the way we did it. Even though we're small, we put a lot of love and care into this game, and we released with virtually 0 bugs. The only real bug that's been reported is somebody says they got a couple of achievements early. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
Like one guy said he got like the one of the achievement for fighting without getting touched, like a perfect fight. But he's like, I got hit the whole time or something like that. So okay, there you go. You're welcome. But as far as the gameplay and how it's working, everything's working great. So the reason I said that is you need to get that right, and then you take that code and everything for Steam and you port that to VCS, you port that to PlayStation, because you've got a good working product, and it's been tested by thousands of people now. That's really the key. I mean, we did in testing. Our team, I had, quite a few different testers, both friends that just wanted to help out, people who wanted to test it and help, and also professionals that do this for a living. And we tested over 2,000 hours of this game in the last couple months or so. And it showed, because it came out and we literally, there's no game breaking bugs that's been reported, knock on wood, to this point right now. So that really helps us. And now we can get these ports faster.
Okay. And you mentioned you're the one-man show with 2 other people, one being the pixel artist. I forget what the other one does, but what do you do?
Well, no, I'm not the pixel artist. That was Mario. So Mario's the pixel artist. Mike Page is the lead programmer. So I'm the game designer, and I mean the founder of the company, but I am the creative director. So when Mario draws everything he's going to do pixel art, I approve it and say, change this, or this looks perfect. He gives it to me. I actually put it in Unity. So I work inside. I mean, I actually do work. I don't just sit back in my pool and do nothing all day, right? So I graph his anime, let's say like one punch has 8 frames to it, right? To get an uppercut. I'll take all 8 of those frames, put it in Unity. I set it up to where I create the animations. I change the speed, when you're going to get hit, when you can hit back. So I don't really write code like Mike does, but I work in the GUI, or the graphical user interface, right?
Yeah.
Portion of Unity that Mike has set up for me so that I can plug in the sprites, and then I make kind of all the magic happen with what you see on screen while Mike is actually writing the code. And the big part of this, everything that you see is out of my head. All the jokes, I wrote the entire game. I wrote the script. You know, I worked with Nikki. I mean, she's awesome, beautiful. I flew her out with me. We spent a weekend together. We went and hit the professional recording studio. As you can tell, I voice myself because this whole franchise is based on true fictional events of my life.
Yeah.
So I did voiceover work, and so I mean I wore many hats when this thing is overall, which almost any indie dev does. And it's you hear indie developers talk about that, like, man, there's so much to this and I wear so many hats, and you really don't get it until you've done. It's like a parent. You've got a kid, right?
Right.
Before you had a kid, you hear people talk about being a parent, and you're like, okay, sure, whatever. And then you had a kid, and you're like, okay,
Yeah.
okay, like I get it now.
Right.
That's kind of what it's like having to do so many different jobs at once as an indie.
Right. And did you go to college for all this?
Well, yes and no. I went to college and got my degree, and it was for computer programming and applications, so IT. But a few years into that, it was too boring for me. It was too mundane. Sitting in have you ever seen the movie Office Space?
Can't say I have.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great. We got to check that out. But that was my life. I went to work every day and I sat in a cube and I wrote Visual Basic code for an ERP system. And, 4 or 5 years of that, I'm like, I can't do this my whole life. I was early 20s and everything. So I got out of that and I got into system administrator and website work because that was actually pretty fun and pretty cool. So I became like a system administrator. I could do like SQL work, HTML, and all the different types of web stuff. And then I've been gaming since the 80s. So it's one of those, on the Atari 2600 was my first gaming system with my dad. We were literally playing Frogger and Missile Command, River Raid, right, all that good stuff.
I had E.T. though.
So,
yeah.
Okay, oh, yeah, I did too. The worst game of all time. So what I did is I combined my technical knowledge in college and career and all that with my love for gaming. And eventually in 2020, when COVID hit and we couldn't do anything, right? Nobody could go anywhere. We're under quarantine. It was like we were watching a movie. So I started the company because I was like, you know what? I got all these great ideas. I'm not getting any younger. Like, I'm an old dude. Like I said, Generation X, I'll claim it, right? I'm not a young spring chicken anymore. And it's like, you know what? Let me go in and get this started. And that's when I started Vanilla Gaming Company there in 2020.
I mean, you ain't that old guy. Me and you were basically the same, even though I'm millennial. God, 82. You're 80, right?
In the early 80s. Yeah, you were born in the early 80s.
Yeah. We're both Scorpios too, because you're like November 11th.
I am 11/11 is my
11/11. See, I'm October 28th.
Oh, okay, you're right there. That's cool. Well, here's the thing: the first couple years, the millennials are all right because we were still rubbing off on them.
Yeah.
Generation X was still rubbing off. Like, you know what I mean? If you said the wrong thing, you got punched in the mouth, right? I mean, if you come home from school and you got nerdy clothes on, we're gonna kick you down the hill.
Man.
I mean, that's stuff that kids are supposed to be doing.
Right. Now all day they cry about it and be like, oh, yeah, come on, grow a pair. It's okay.
Exactly, man. Everybody now they get it. But I seen a thing, and this girl was talking about the difference between Generation X. She's like, we actually fought for real, not on the internet.
Right.
And I was like, that's a good point. Like, we would get, like, you had to physically, like, if you were going to say something to somebody, you didn't have a smartphone. They didn't exist yet. Like, when the phone rang, it was on the wall. You had the wall, and you didn't know who it was until you picked it up and said hello. There was none of this avoiding people crap and everything being keyboard warriors, man. No. Like, we had to face it.
Yes. All right, and you before all that, Vanilla, you were a stand-up comedian, correct?
I did do some of that. That's interesting. You know that.
Yes.
I did. Back in the late 90s, there, I actually got here in Cincinnati, Ohio, there was a comedy club. I don't know if it's still there or not. It was called Go Bananas. And it was interesting is like I wasn't even old enough to be in the club, right? But I was on stage performing. I went to some open mic stuff. I did well. I did some of that, like little challenges and stuff. And yeah, I was actually doing that. I got paid to do my first show at 17, I think. One of the MC got sick, and the owner of the club calls me up on a school night too, right? It wasn't even a weekend. At like 17 years old, and was like, man, he got sick. Can you come in? I'm like, I was so nervous, right? And I went up there and I hosted the show. I met Mitch Hedberg.
Mitch, the guy talking about. Yeah, man. Yeah, nice.
This is amazing. Here's the thing, and he passed away, right?
You're right. Yeah.
Mitch Hedberg was real. He was genuine. Now, I mean, like either that or he was like Macho Man Randy Savage. Even when Macho Man wasn't Macho Man, he was Macho Man. You know what I mean? Like he didn't fake it. Like that's how he was. Mitch Hedberg was the same way. He would sit down. He was chill. He was nice. He was cool. But he talked with that cadence. Like, man, we should go get something to eat.
Yes, yes.
I mean? Like I did a couple shows and he was in town, and that's how he would talk. He's like, man, Taco Bell sounds good.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's just how he was. That's how he talked. And he was so funny, though. So I got to meet a lot of people, and I actually signed a modeling contract from all that stuff in the late 90s there. I went down to Atlanta and did some stuff down there, like potential TV stuff. And here's the thing, man. Like you mentioned in the beginning, I'm from Cincinnati, Ohio, born and raised here. There's nothing going on in Cincinnati. I mean, what's our claim to fame?
Bengals?
Bengals, they were terrible. I'm talking back in the 90s.
Okay.
They didn't know how to, they were the Bungles. Like they didn't know how to win a game. But so we had like Hustler and all that kind of stuff. But it was something to where if I wanted to pursue that, it was two places. I'm going to California. I'm going to New York. I barely had a car that ran. I had no money because I'm not from money. And it's just like, it's bummer. But I had an agent that wanted me to come out to LA and audition for some shows. And like the grind and all that stuff. And she's like, I got a perfect part for you. And it turns out Carson Daly. And I would have been going up against Carson, all them guys to host. I don't even remember what it was called now. Man, what was that show he used to host all the time?
TRL?
Yeah, TRL. And there was one more. It was before that, though. But anyway, like they wanted me to jump on that and host. But I couldn't go. I didn't have any money. You know what I mean? It was one of those things. I would have been living in a van down by the river or something. So, dude, I just stayed in Cincinnati. I took the boring way out. I went to college and all that crap, and here I am now.
Okay. That seemed to work out in the end. You killed my other question there. So, this all being from Ohio, have you ever met Bone Thugs?
No, I have not.
What about The Miz?
No, not met him.
What about John Moxley?
No. Man, you make me sound like I don't know anybody now.
Oh, it's okay, because you got one guy that you met that's from your town, Cincinnati, Ohio, and that is Fake Jaw. Yeah.
Fake Jaw. Well, I mean, here Cincinnati's a weird place. I mean, as far as that goes, people come here and they don't like it. It's boring. We're very it's a good place to raise a family, which doesn't sound fun at all. Mm-hmm. And so the people who are here now, who I do know, and not personally, like we hang out all the time, but like Dave Chappelle.
Nice.
He's not far.
He's got a farm somewhere over in Ohio.
Out there in Yellow. He's just north of us, but he's proud to be from here, and he's good. There's a strip club named Diamonds. I hope I'm not outing them here. Diamond Strip Club. It's up by Dayton and all that, which is north of me, south of him. And like he will go there. I've gone there once or twice.
Yes.
But you'll meet a lot of people there, going through the strip club and stuff, because we actually have a couple nice establishments around here.
Okay. And with you making this game and everything, one would assume you're a boxing fan, right? Oh yeah, definitely. More so younger than now. I mean, I kind of felt out of love with the sport because we just didn't have the fighters. I mean, even before our time.
Hagler, Hearns, Ali, Frazier, Foreman, all those guys. Larry Holmes. We might have known about them, but we wasn't alive yet to physically watch them in their primes. I mean, yeah, I miss Holyfield, man. I miss Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, Arturo Gatti, Mickey Ward. I mean, these guys, Sugar Shane Mosley, all these guys. It's like I love boxing back then. That's back in the day where Tyson would fight on Showtime.
Yeah.
And you could call up the Time Warner cables who we had here, and it'd be like, I want Showtime. Because it wasn't a pay-per-view. It just you had to have the service. And I would call them up, and they would give you Showtime. All my friends, we'd all be over. We watched the fight. I would call them up and be like, I would like to cancel Showtime. And you get prorated like $1.46 for the 2 hours you had Showtime for the month. Like, you can't do that stuff now. You can't get away with that. But back in the day, they didn't have all those checks in place. But I love fights, man. We would get all the big fights, and even if they were pay-per-view, we'd get it. And boxing was a huge sport for me growing up. I loved it. I used to go to those meanest man contests. You ever seen those before? You know what I'm talking about?
I can't say I do. Oh wait, is that like they call it something else down here? It's like tough man competition.
Okay, yeah. Well, anybody can show up and just fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, they call it the meanest man up here. But yeah, so I would go up there and go on those and just like see who's toughest, man. You get in there. There was a dude in there once. He just had some jean shorts on. It looked like Charlie Manson. I mean, he had a beard. He had the hair and crazy. And just like, you don't know what you're going to get into, man. I used to love that stuff. Like fights, mano a mano, man to man. That's the good days, you know.
Would they go like 3 brackets and everything?
Yeah.
That's what it was.
They have like 3 major weight classes. Like they'd have like the heavy and then like a medium and a light, and just you hope that you didn't fall into the small section or you didn't fall into the bottom of one of them. Like, you know what I mean? You go in there and you're like 1 pound over the limit, and now you're fighting somebody that's 50 pounds heavier than you or whatever. But yeah, that was good times back in the 90s.
Oh yeah. Do you remember the boxing match where a guy parachuted in the ring?
That was Holyfield Tyson.
Yeah. Okay. Was that one or the second one?
That's a good question. I don't remember. I feel like it was one pre-ear bite.
Yeah, pre-ear bite. You're right. You're onto something. Yeah. And you should already know who hits the hardest, right?
What do you mean? In the game or in real life?
Nah, in real life. Like, this is what ESPN and Bleacher Report have tallied up on who hits the hardest.
It's going to be Tyson.
Hearns. Hitman Hearns.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. There was some good. I heard Jack Dempsey could freaking drop a man too.
Dempsey, huh? Yeah.
That might have been before his time. Well, Max Baer was killing people in the ring.
Oh. Yes.
He knocked a couple brains loose, so that's a pretty hard. That was probably before,
right.
That was probably before they were keeping record of it. But yeah, I love all that stuff too. I got so much like useless knowledge in my head of stats of sports. It's crazy to remember back to that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Would you say you're a fan of the new boxing with Fury and the Wilders and all of them, or?
Well, here's the thing. Sports in general just is not close to my heart like it used to be, man. Life. I got so much to do. And, you get busy. And, you know exactly what I'm saying. Everybody listen to me that is a working class person that has a family or doesn't have a family. I have my child is turned 18 this year. So no more school. Like I said, I'm older than you think. But so no more school, which is great that I don't have to deal with her going to school and dealing with all that stuff. But she's an adult now. So, we had all that going on. And then I had, with the work, I was working, full time, 2 jobs. I mean, 16 to 18 hours a day trying to get everything done and ready for the game and ready in life and pay the bills and all that kind of stuff. And like sports in general, man. I used to love baseball. I love going to baseball games. That's real big here in Cincinnati with the Reds being, the first team ever. Cincinnati loves the Reds. But It's like I'll watch playoffs and I'll watch things, but boxing, baseball, basketball, all that, it kind of like fell to the side, so to speak, because I just don't have time to keep up with it, man. But when I was a teenager, I could tell you every touchdown Dan Marino threw and the stats on this game and the stats of this. I was like – Rain Man with stats. But nowadays it's like I don't even have time to hardly sit down and watch anything anymore,
Yeah. You think it's probably sort of like that whole nostalgia thing where we're children and everything's a spectacle and it's magical and just we're being introduced to it for the first time and that was the time to be alive type stuff. And it was just like, wow. And now it's just like, I'm an adult. I've seen it all. Whatever.
No, I think that's a good point. And, I've thought about that before. Just, those times where you're just sitting back doing nothing and you think about your life. Because it's like everybody thinks their generation is the best. You know what I mean? Like everybody's this like, oh man, I was, my dad is like, oh, in the 60s was this. And, other people, the 70s and the 80s and the 90s. And like, so it's like, I think that's totally true what you say. But I do think there are, if you're talking about sports anyway, there are statistically better. For example, the 90s, our generation of being a teenager and all that stuff, the quarterbacks, I've never seen a generation of NFL quarter. I mean, you had Marino, Elway, Aikman, Young, Montana was still playing, Brett Favre, Drew Bledsoe. I mean, like, that was such a fun era. And then we had the 90s was also the steroid era of baseball.
Oh,
right?
Boy.
It was fun to watch baseball. I understand baseball can be boring to a normal person, but when you see Mark McGwire hitting a 540-foot home run to the next county, that's fun.
Yeah, and him and Sosa were going back to back, weren't we? That was him and Sosa.
Him and Sammy had the whole chase going on. I mean, the 90s really was kind of a fun, I think it was one of the coolest sports generations of all time. And Tyson was big. I mean, he got into his trouble but then he came back. And
then he came back.
Remember that? That's when he looked like a tiger in a cage. He's like pacing back and forth, and McNeely's like this, looks like a drunken Irishman. Like you knew he wasn't.
I just remembered this guy going on a late night talk shows talking about he wants Tyson or something like that. Or Tyson is about to come back after all this, charges he got hit with and everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And wrestling. And here's the thing. I was not a wrestling fan. Okay. I'm talking WWF back then because I knew it was fake. I'm logical. I'm a realist. It's a great thing, but sometimes it's a negative too because you can't enjoy certain things. When this guy's stepping on the ground and punch, and the guys are faking it, that's why I love boxing. Boxing was real. I knew people were getting hurt. Sure, the fights could be thrown and judges and this, but it was real. I knew they were taking those punches. Now, don't get me wrong. A professional wrestler is a tremendous athlete. I mean, what they do is amazing. I can't do it. They are 100% athletes, but it's fake. If you know who's supposed to win before you walk in there, I can't hang with it, right? But you had Macho Man, right? Like we talked about. You had Doink the Clown. You had all these different.
You mentioned Doink.
Yeah, I mean, because it was fun. I mean, like you said, as a kid, you see this stuff and it's bigger than life. And you see Hulk Hogan and you see Bret Hart and all them guys, and you respect what they're doing. And I mean, you got Baywatch as your number one show on television, right? So that's bouncing every night at 6 p.m. after dinner.
Bouncing
it was just
for real.
A good time, man. Crystal Pepsi.
Oh, Crystal Pepsi. Surge. Yes.
Yeah, Surge. Dude, they sold those at school. We had just Surge machines. That's all it was. It was Surge, like decals on it, and every button was Surge. No lie. And that's in high school. These days, I wasn't even allowed to give my daughter a Coke or a Mountain Dew to take to school. I remember the first time that happened, she's like, Dad, they wouldn't let me drink my soda today. I was like, what? I said, they took it away from me. There's too much sugar.
What?
I'm like,
what?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. This was probably 6 years ago or so when she was in middle school or whatever. You know what I mean? And yeah, they did not allow parents to bring send sugary drinks to school.
So in school in Cincinnati, Ohio, they're watching what they're eating.
Yeah. They are watching what they eat.
Okay. Interesting.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. We just went into my next question since you brought up wrestling, and you said you weren't a wrestling fan. Shame on you. And but did you ever have a favorite wrestler?
Oh, Macho Man Randy Savage. No, nowadays I got Macho Man Randy Savage shirts I wear right now. I'll go down to the grocery store and a Macho Man shirt. No, I love Macho Man. Like I said, I respected him. I respected what they did, and Macho Man. Well, he's from Columbus, just north of me.
Okay.
Randy, his name, Pofo.
Pofo,
yeah. He was not, and I knew a couple people who knew him, and I never got a chance to meet him. He was a big baseball for the Reds, minor league. I think it was the Sarasota Reds he played for, a couple different teams. Yeah. Could you imagine him going into baseball? He would have been nothing. I mean, he would have been a normal person. That's like when the Royals drafted Dan Marino or whatever. It's like these people would have had a good career, or The Rock. If he would have stayed, remember he went to Miami University. If he would have been
Hurricane,
he played with Ray Lewis and all that, he was really good. But if he would have went to football instead of wrestling, we probably wouldn't know who he is anymore. But Macho Man, as a wrestler, I love those guys, man. I used to go to my mom's house every other weekend, and she was dating this guy that was a big wrestling fan, so I would wake up Saturday morning. And, I'm at my mom's house just for the weekend, don't really know anybody over there. And I'd sit and watch wrestling with him just because, like you said, it was a spectacle. It was something that's just like I would watch that stuff and I would laugh. Like, I can't believe people actually think that. I mean, as a kid, I'm laughing like, he didn't really hit him, did he?
Right.
There's a great movie called The Wrestler with Mickey Rourke.
Oh, fantastic. Shows exactly what the wrestler goes through. Yes.
Exactly. And I seen a documentary. I think it was Jake the Snake, Razor Ramon, and Roddy Piper all talked about watching that movie, and they were crying before the end of it, man. I mean, they were in tears because they seen that stuff happen to the people they grew up with, and they were like a brotherhood, and they're like, you guys have no idea how real this movie is. So, I mean, as far as wrestling goes, I don't respect the sport as a competitive sport because it's not. But I respect the guys in it and the women, and I think it was a really, I mean, put it this way, man, McMahon, you can love him, you hate him, but the dude made so much money and got so much honey. How can you hate on that? He's
a genius. I mean, he's falling off these days, but
right. But back in the day, the WWF and American Gladiators,
yes,
can't get enough of that.
Yes. Can you do a Macho Man impression?
No, you put me on a spot there.
I know.
Well, we'll see. It's right a little bit. Gonna get a little deep here again.
All right, I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got the and you got to put the and he says, doing some interviews today. Yeah. Hey, I got to ask you this. Let me ask you this. Did you ever watch the Baywatch episode where Macho Man and Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan was guest starred on the Baywatch?
I saw a clip of that, but I didn't think that was Baywatch. I thought that was Thunder in Paradise.
No, man, you got to watch. It's on Amazon Prime. I tell everybody watching this, just go. I think it's like season 4 or 3, episode 17.
Okay.
It is so funny because these guys, they try to be serious, but you can't be serious when you're dressed like that. And there's a question. So, like, I won't get into the whole episode, but just to really summarize it up, they're about to do a big wrestling match on the beach for to see who owns the beach, right?
Yeah.
And Cody's up there and he's like, "What's the plan, Macho Man?" And he goes, "Let me tell you, Cody, the plan is there's no plan." Yeah. And you can see people you know what I mean, dropping down, and Cody starts laughing. They didn't even cut it because he's like, "Listen, we got to just roll with this one."
Macho Man?
Yes.
What's your plan?
Cody, my plan is no plan, yeah. I live on the edge, living on the edge. Ride the edge of a lightning bolt across the sky. Do you know why, Cody?
No, I don't.
But it's just I don't think he even read a script.
He was probably ad-libbing, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And he was coked up half the time, too. And he was just like, there's no plan. Yeah. Dude, it's one of the funniest lines any TV show you'll ever see. And you can just see them laughing and smiling did he just tell me the plan is there's no plan? What?
Right.
But that stuff that's great television right there, man.
Okay. One thing you are a fan of is gaming. So, what are your top 5 favorite games?
Oh, top 5?
Yes.
That's a great question, man. I tell you what, one of my favorite games of all time is Super Nintendo Shadowrun. I absolutely love that game because it introduced the Matrix to us before the Matrix was the Matrix, if you remember that. Mm-hmm. And it just, the way it played is just phenomenal. I really, really, really enjoyed Red Dead Redemption, the first one.
Yeah.
I love that game. Man, I mean, you go all the way back to Nintendo and all that stuff. I mean, I was a big sports fan, but I don't want to throw those in there, that they're favorite games. Sports.
You don't want to do like Tecmo Bowl? Because I love Tecmo Bowl.
Oh, I did too. But you know what I liked even more than that back in the day?
What's that?
NES Open Tournament Golf.
Hey, okay.
Because you could make the rosters, and I would put all the superheroes and stuff in there with me, and I'd be golfing against Elvira and like all this stuff, you know what I mean? And,
Yeah.
and as a kid, and that was big time back in the 90s, I loved NES Open Tournament golf. But man, I just got so many games that I loved. The original God of War, not this crap that you can't jump in because you gotta like it.
Hey.
The original. Really? Well, here's the thing: God of War 3 remastered might be the greatest game ever made.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
And you know, my kid has beaten that game, but you know his favorite part is the Aphrodite cut. I was like, come on, kid. You don't really got to get your life all the way up like that.
Yeah. She's upside down on the bed. So, like, I mean, who doesn't like when that starts? But the game starts off right in the middle of action. You're on the back of freaking Gaia going up the mountain, right? And it just, I love how well made God of War 3 is. That was my favorite trilogy. And then they kept going on, and to me, they ruined it with how they, like, the fourth one, Ascension, did not cut it. Max Payne 3 is a phenomenal game. So games like that, you know, I like games. I can play just about anything, but I like story-driven games, but I like games where it's got variety in what you're doing. Like, you know, there's a lot of different moving pieces to it, which is what Ace in the Hole that we're working on at the end is going to be. It's just huge variety.
We're going to get into Ace in the Hole here in a second. Yeah. My favorite, though, is like, I love Zelda, man.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the first one, right?
Well, the first one, but I also love Link to the Past. Like
I was getting ready to say Link to the Past. I think Link to the Past, and this is unpopular opinion, Link to the Past is the best Zelda game ever made. It's
damn right it is. Yes.
It's better than Ocarina because of what it was at that time in our lives. For what it was. Yeah, Link to the Past was amazing.
And what would you say you are? You're an Xbox fanboy, a Sony pony, or a Nintendo guy?
Well, really, just like my political stance, I try to stay in the middle because if you go too far one way, you become an idiot that nobody likes. Right. So, I mean, I grew up on Nintendo. I started on, let me tell you, I just run it down so you can see what I'm talking about here. I started on Atari 2600. I moved up to Nintendo, then the Super NES, SNES, right? And then I believe that's when PlayStation came out after that. But I didn't own a PlayStation. My friends all had a PlayStation. I had a Sega Genesis, right? And then I moved up to Nintendo 64. Okay, so I'm still with Nintendo. And then PlayStation 2. So I've never, ever, ever owned an Xbox because to me, PlayStation and Xbox were so similar. They could pretty much always do the same thing. But PlayStation has always had the better exclusives. I love Sly Cooper. I love Uncharted, right? I love God of War. I mean, we could go. Quantic Dream is my favorite game developer of all time. I love Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls. There was a PlayStation 2 game they came out with called Indigo Prophecy. Fantastic storytelling. I love the storytelling. And it was always PlayStation. It seems like PlayStation brought you in with, hey, if people forget, even Lara Croft and Tomb Raider was PlayStation exclusive when we were younger. If you had an Xbox, you didn't get to see those titties. So that's a problem.
Those polygon titties, man.
Exactly. The polygons, they were perfectly triangles. Right. And also Metal Gear. Metal Gear wasn't about
Snake, yes.
Exactly. Like people, nowadays, everybody's spoiled in a way that you get it everywhere. Like you can get anything you want just about anywhere. But man, back in the day when we were growing up, like if you didn't own a PlayStation, you missed out on the best games. So I was like, why am I going to have an Xbox? Not that I hate them. It just, there's not a reason for me to buy it.
All right. It's staying in the middle, looking towards the future of getting this game on all those systems.
Yeah, and I can't talk about that yet. So if you got any questions, we got to hold up. But I am in the middle of working on a few things that might, it's really big. You know, it's one of those things as a small company. If you got the money, you can do it. If you got the team, you can do it. So we had to wait for revenue to come in from Steam. But not just that. There was some people that were interested in Retro KO, but they're like, okay, this is a new company. They never made anything yet. They might have been around and know people and have connections like I do, but let's see what they make. Let's see the reviews. So now that Retro Knockout's out, We're getting excellent reviews across the board. I mean, even people that I didn't think were going to like the game because of the challenge is giving us an 85 out of 100, 90, 95, 80. We're getting 4 out of 5 here. I think, on the Steam page, there's not a lot of reviews yet. I think we have 26, but 24 of the 26 are positive. So now that people are seeing, okay, people like this game, now people are starting to call me.
Yeah.
You got publishers saying, "Hey, remember me?" Or, you know what I mean? Like, "Hey, this is really neat. Let's talk," which is a good thing because now that the gamers are playing it, we're getting good reviews. We may actually have a chance to, like you said, it's don't count me out. Put it that way. I keep fighting until I hear a whistle, and I ain't heard a whistle yet. And we do have a chance for PlayStation, Xbox, and the Switch for Retro Knockout.
Very nice news. Because I want to see you and the other two succeed with this. It's a very fun game. If you haven't got it yet, people, get it on Steam or whenever it comes out to your console.
Yeah, well, you got to see if you buy it on Steam, then that helps us get on console. I know that's kind of like, well,
yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things. If you only play console, then obviously you're going to wait. But the revenue coming in now, it does more than people think. Like it's tough, and I get it though, man. Things are expensive. I mean, you go to a grocery store, and all you do is get bread, milk, and cheese, and you just spent like $30. It's like, this is insane, and I get it, but at the same time, Retro Knockout is well worth it. People don't realize how long the game is. We got 30 plus fights in there, so you're spending $19.99. And you get 3 circuits of these fights. I mean, a lot of people, I'll jump on a stream, and the stream, they just started playing the game. The stream is over 2 hours old. They're 5 or 6 fights in. So that'll tell you, that's what, 5, 10, 15, 20. I mean, you're looking at potentially 25 hours of gameplay on this.
Maybe
depending
more.
on how good you are.
Right, depending on how good you are. And if you last that long, you always give a helpful hint. If you're not doing the block,
yeah.
Done, Shen.
Yeah, the Philly shell, man. You got to hold. And I've jumped on stream and tried to help people out, and they don't get it that you can hold down on the D-pad at all times and just roll to the dodge. And that way, if you do get hit, it's never worse than 3% instead of a 20% or whatever it is you're facing. So if you hold down, man, that Philly shell, it really works.
Right, and you say hold down on the D-pad, but you yourself, since this is on Steam, you play on the keyboard.
I do play on the keyboard, which I know is just because when I was designing the game, you want to make it work for everything. A console's easy, a controller's easy. You know what the buttons are. If it's Xbox, you're here, and you got this here. If it's PlayStation, it's just like this. So you don't have a choice. But in a keyboard, you can make any key anything, right? Mm-hmm. So the keyboard I have, and most keyboards these days, is the arrows on the right. So that's left, down, and right. So my index on the right would be dodge left, and then my middle finger would be block, and then down, then dodge right. And A, S, and D are your punches. So A is left punch, S is right punch, and D is your big PP. D equals PP. So when you set that on the keyboard, man, there's no lag. You can just you can hold down and then just tap like that and dodge, and then go with A and S. And it's so simple that I'm not normally a keyboard gamer in any other game. But it's kind of weird that I make a game and then I'm a keyboard user on it, because there's absolutely no lag, and you can do it so quick. You know what I mean? And me being an IT background, like I said, I was a programmer. I've been on a keyboard, man, every day for 20 plus years. I'm just so used to having my hands in that position. Mm-hmm. So when I game and you're playing a game, this game is just like Jack Burton says, it's all in the reflexes. So I can just nail it out with my finger speed.
Right. And I got to try with the keyboard too, because Roy Crohn's is giving me trouble.
So I will tell you this, in the update, I'm going to give you your own pro tip here, man, for doing the interview. I did not change Roy's pattern at all. Roy is going to be Roy, but you will do more damage against him. Vanilla's stronger in that fight.
Cool. And you also said the longer the fight goes, Vanilla gets stronger and the opponent gets weaker.
In almost all cases. There's a couple cases that's not it, but generally, yes.
Excluding Ivan Drago.
Mindset, that you'll win. I mean, you'll do better, because if you notice, there's smaller guys. There's Fake Jaw. There's Polio Caesar Salad. There's smaller guys, but then you got Kielbasa, Polinsky. You got Montezuma. The bigger guys, those guys, they tire. The first round, they might have a 40% power punch or uppercut. You know what I mean? So it's like, just get through the first round. Don't get knocked down. Don't worry about knocking. Too many people have offense minded. Like, you got to be the 2000 Baltimore Ravens. You got to come out with a defense that says, I'm going to win this game on defense. I block, I dodge, maybe I punch one time. Don't tire yourself out, and then go ahead and let him win that first round. Win the second round, because you got 3, 4, and 5, and now his power went from 40 to like 15.
Oh,
so if you get hit, it's not a big deal.
Right. Speaking of a big deal, you got another game that's on the horizon, VanillaBeast Ace in the Hole. You say it's a prequel. It's got some eye candy in it. Vanilla is 0069. Is it a spy game?
Yeah, so what that is, that's on IGN. We did an alpha. People were loving it, but I realized how big of a game that was going to be, and for such a small team. And here's the thing: we even did a Kickstarter. I canceled it because we started a Kickstarter. We started getting money coming in, but then I realized, hold on here, this isn't the best business plan. I pulled a Belichick. I said, let me make a halftime adjustment so that we win in the end, and that is, let me explain it to you. Familiar with the Phase 1 Avengers, right?
Right.
The movie. Okay. So you had Captain America, you had Iron Man, you had Thor. They're telling you a story about a character, and then they're leading up to this massive movie called The Avengers, where everybody's going to come together, and everybody you're used to and and oh man, I remember that. That's what we're going to do. I realized I had kind of, and I'll admit it, maybe messed up, that I was leading with the Avengers. I'm like, hold on here. Ace in the Hole is the catch-all. So we need to create prequels to that to give you background of the characters, give lore. People love lore, right? Let you understand who the characters are, where they're coming from, some of the cool stuff. Because, for example, and the perfect segue into this is, so you've played Retro Knockout now. You know the controls. You understand the story. So now in Ace in the Hole, when Vanilla's in the park and he sits down next to little Timmy and he says, man, let me tell you about the time I went for the VBF title. And boom, you get to play a level from Retro Knockout, and it comes back to you and you're like, oh man, I played this game 3 years ago or whatever. And one of the things I'm going to let people do is vote on their best or their favorite fights. So maybe Faux Real's in there, and we got Macho Boxer, Drago, and Myson, right? And that'll be 4 separate levels in Ace in the Hole that you play throughout the game. It's going to be an open world. It's going to play just like Leisure Suit Larry, just like it. Gotcha. Or did you play the Genesis game Beavis and Butthead?
Yes, and I didn't like it.
Okay, why didn't you like it? No, I'm curious.
Well, okay, so I love Beavis and Butthead, don't get me wrong and everything. It's just that difficulty was pretty hard. I mean, it was. Well, this is the good news. This game won't be hard like that. That's not what because I understand the Retro Knockout is hard because of what it is. That was hard. Like the sewer system and the platforming was really difficult in that game. But the reason I brought it up is because, okay, you had to get the pieces of Guar ticket. And the one guy in a restaurant, he ate one by mistake. So how do you get in there? You got to go out back. You got to find the rat. You got to get the pin. You got to drop the rat in the fryer. You got to fry it. You got to feed it. But there's all these different things. So Ace in the Hole, you have an open world. And maybe the surfing level, which is a parody of TNC surf design, you can't get to that until you find item A on the map, and then it unlocks section B over here. And then you go from this top-down original Zelda type of game, over the top, kind of like the apartment level or the apartment section in Retro Knockout. That's why we showed that. So Ace in a Hole is going to play like that as an overtop search game. Not different. You can't die at all. Like, you're literally walk around and just explore like Leisure Suit Larry. But then you'll enter a level which will be created by a team or an artist that captured the essence of what we're inspired by. So we'll have, punch-out inspired levels. We'll have an outrun level to where it starts off and it's it's one of those things where the father of the girl you're dating is trying to hit you up with his paternity suit. So you jump in the outrun car and as you're driving, they're trying to serve you papers. Okay. So it's all about crazy comedy, but it's going to be like you remember playing Outrun back in the day. Yeah. Or like I said, TNC Surf Design. I love TNC. That's such a good game. And so we're going to have all these levels that are going to kind of
you'll zoom into these levels as you unlock it, and it's like a big vanilla verse is what we're calling it, of a catch-all. But there'll be probably 2 more games before Ace.
And can you elaborate more?
Well, no, because what I can elaborate is I've signed some of the hottest adult film stars out there to star in these games. We got Blake Blossom signed. She is amazing. She is absolutely beautiful. We got the legend Jewel Denial. I've got Nikki coming back. We got Lily Craven, Tifa. We got these adult film stars, because the other thing we're doing is I know a lot of girls and that's ended the industry over the years, and the film industry as a whole, it's got some of the nicest people that you'd ever meet. And I'm not just saying that. It's because you get into real movie stars like the Tom Cruises and the Russell Crowes, and they're too big to talk to you. They got too much going on. They got too much money. They got too much of everything. And sure, there's a Keanu Reeves. Keanu is the exception to the rule of he's a super nice guy. Everybody loves him. But you got your movie stars. You got like your sports stars. You know the old saying, man, don't ever meet your hero because it ain't going to go the way you want it to. I can't say that for these women. They are so nice. I mean, they literally just open up to you.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
But they're nice people. And it's like you can go to a party with one or see them around there and they're having a good time. You can have a conversation and they just have a good time. So I wanted to bring them into the mainstream gaming, which is something gaming doesn't like. We've been shot down. I've been shunned. Like you're doing an interview with me now. I've had people that not wanted to show the game. They don't want to review it. They don't want to talk about it just because Nikki's name is associated with the game. Even though you've seen our game, Witcher is way more sexual than anything we've done. Cyberpunk is more sex. Like you can't like have sex in the game. We have nudity, but we're not doing anything to be rated adults. We're rated M for mature, no different than Call of Duty.
Right.
But since we have these names associated with us, people like to jump to conclusions. And while in today's society, it's okay to kill people. It's okay to just rip somebody's head off, stomp them, yell at them, do everything you can, but show a nipple and just the earth opens up and swallows you and it's the worst thing ever. I don't get it, right?
Yeah.
So we're pushing back. Think of some of the greatest movies, man, that you can think back. Caddyshack. Hey. There's more nudity in that than you realize.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Revenge of the Nerds. Roadhouse. Remember the hot blonde from Roadhouse? I mean, there are so many movies that people will say are legendary movies. And they've got topless, they got nudity, they've got sex in there, but it's like it's acceptable to do it on a certain level or a certain type of company to do it. But we're an indie. Games are for kids. Games are not for kids. Games are for everybody. And here's the thing: our generation, the people born in the 70s and the 80s and even the early 90s, we are the generation that grew up with the games. We're older. Why aren't the games getting older? And I'm not talking about just a straight up sex game, right? We're not talking about that type of stuff. I'm talking about a legitimate game that's fun, has gameplay. It's got a purpose. It's got a story. It's got all these elements, nothing different than an Uncharted or a God of War game. It's got everything. But okay, so an adult film star is in it. That's how we made history. People don't realize that. We are the first game to ever feature an adult film star that allowed her to play herself and be illustrated and animated and be full vocal lines, like Jenna Jameson played Candy Sucks in Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Remember that? Mm-hmm. But they were always just a small role. So I'm going to bring these girls to the forefront. And Ace in the Hole and all these games are going to bring them in. So I can't tell you about the next game per se, but I can tell you it's horror genre. It's going to be the next one.
Oh, nice.
It's staying with comedy. But we're going to bring in the horror people, and it's not going to be a difficult game. It's going to be a funny game that is accessible by anybody. I mean, the difficulty level won't even be mentioned. It won't even be a thing like it is with Retro Knockout that, a lot of people find it hard. It's going to be a game that, like I said, this one's going to play a lot like Leisure Suit Larry 2 in that find this and use it here. But, man, the writing and everything we're doing with the girls, I mean, I wish I could say more, but it's too early in production. It's gonna be hilarious. It's gonna be really good.
Gotcha.
Bigger and better in Retro Knockout for sure.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, you kind of killed my other question because I was going to talk about the eye candy and the adult entertainers. Nikki Huntsman. I don't believe you mentioned Anna Claire Clouds. Or Casey
Oh
Storm?
yeah, so she's in Ace in the Hole. Well, Anna is interesting. She's really busy. She's blowing up right now. She is like the pretty and petite style. She's very very gorgeous. Now I don't know Anna personally. You know, I'm a very honest person, so I'm not going to pretend like I know all these girls and everybody and stuff. So I don't know Anna, but yeah, she worked. She did some promos for us for Ace in the Hole, and she signed and did a character in Ace in the Hole. She is not part of the next game, unfortunately. So that's why I didn't really mention her. She'll be an Ace, which is towards the end. But I'm going to try to work on her and a few other girls to get them in, even if we can just get quick cameos from them, because it's really funny when you let somebody play themselves, right? It's not like she's playing a blonde or a certain character. It's you get to see these girls for who they really are. And as a matter of fact, when I write the script, I write it a certain way, and I say, okay, we've got this, this, and this, and then I hand it to them and I say, now you rewrite this line as you would say it. Don't change the plot, right? Don't change what the scene is and what we're doing. But like, you know, Nikki, I think, she did that in the recordings too. And I think at one line she called her a mother licker, or she called the colonel a mother licker. I didn't write that. I had whatever, and she's like, all right, you mother licker, or whatever. So it's just like, it's fun to work with these girls and let them kind of be themselves and do things that they're not used to doing, because they're used to being shadow banned. They're used to being shunned upon. They're not allowed to do this. You know, they can't even have an account on certain types of media. Even if they've done nothing wrong, they've not broke the terms of service, they get shadow banned. And so we're going to kind of fight back against this, because nobody's going to be able to stop what we're doing. And it's kind of funny, I'm in Cincinnati, just like our boy back from the Hustler days, where, all his stuff in the trial and stuff. It's like I'm almost doing the same thing, and I feel the same way on a smaller scale in the gaming community right now that he had to deal with back in the day.
Okay. And another one, Casey Storm?
Yeah, Casey, she's actually, I do know her. She's really nice. Casey is just like, man, she's so nice. Like, she's so nice. So she's part of Ace and Hole also. And she is a dominatrix type. She's the strong, powerful. She looks like Pinhead, the way she dresses, from Hellraiser. Black spandex, I'm talking from the bottom of her soles to the neck. And just, so she likes that. So what I've done is I've created the characters in the game as they want to see themselves. And some, put it this way, some instances they'll even have superpowers and whatnot.
Okay. If I may make a suggestion, could you get Misty Stone in the game?
Misty Stone. You know what? I don't know that I know anybody that knows her. I don't know her. So I'm always open to suggestions and stuff. I'll say this. I'm going to tell you this right now. My number one adult film star, and like I said, I'm a very honest guy. I don't watch movies like I used to. Any man who says they don't do it's a liar, number one. Now, when we were younger, teens, early 20s, it's kind of back when, Howard Stern was having Jenna Jameson on all the time. That's when, to me, the adult film was really cool. In the late 90s, early 2000s. As I'm older now, like, it's kind of like putting a steak in front of me and saying, don't eat it. I want to eat that steak. So I need real women, right? You know what I mean? Like, don't watching it's not as cool. But Gianna Michaels she is the Tom Brady of the adult films world.
Okay.
She's the GOAT. And I've spoke with her. I've had a meeting. She was into it and everything, but she's been retired for quite some time now, maybe 10 years. I don't remember when she retired, maybe early teens, maybe 2008, I don't know, 2015, something like that. And she's one of those people. When she retired, she really retired. She's not on social media hardly at all. She's not even really doing an OnlyFans. So, like, she just she made her money. She got out of the industry. And I'm not trying to bring her back in industry, but at the same time, she knows she'd have to kind of come back into that limelight a little bit.
She's a Hall of Famer in your eyes, a legend. Yeah.
Oh, she is it. She is the legend, man. And I'm trying to get her out there because Gianna Michaels is just everything about her. She's like powerful and beautiful and curvy and natural and strong, and she's funny. And it's just like she embodies everything you would want from someone to bring into like a video game and play themselves as a cool, dynamic character. So I'm trying to work on her, right? And we'll see how that goes. But really, I have a consultant in the business, and he's a great guy. He's actually in the credits. His name's Don Juan DeMarco. Is his name. That's what
Don Juan DeMarco.
and he is like the nicest guy. He looks like a little like hipster Viking, but he's just like so nice. And he has all these connections, and he has done so much marketing for me, is where he's telling everybody about what I'm doing. And that's why we're getting front page on AVN, and we're getting front page on XBiz and all these big sites, because everybody's like, what is this VanillaBeast character? What's this guy doing?
Yeah. Is Don Juan DeMarco also a DJ?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? I never asked him that, but his company is DJD Media.
Okay. Yeah. I think this is the same guy, because if
I don't know.
Okay.
He lives in Colorado.
There's not too many Don Juan DeMarcos out there. I'm sure this might be the same
He's
one.
from Colorado, and he does his stuff up on the mountains.
Okay. Well, this one.
But DJD Media is his company.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, but maybe that's because it's DJs and Don Juan, not DJs and a disc jockey. I don't know. I'm not
Okay. Okay. And with you saying all this, you think of yourself as a pioneer with bringing all this to the forefront.
Only in the sense, like I said, man, I'm not trying to blow smoke here, anybody. Only in the sense of with the girls and the adult film industry, what I'm doing. A pioneer in anything else in the gaming, no, because what I'm doing is I'm like DuPont. I'm taking something that exists and I'm trying to make it better, right? So I'm not, the games we're making, I'm not creating any categories or anything like that. I'm not making anything new. I'm just trying to bring my brand of humor to the games. And while, I will say this, maybe Ace in a Hole might be kind of pioneerish in that there's not many games where you're going to play the game and the levels are going to change so drastically you feel like you're playing a different game. Mm-hmm. Right? How many games out there? I don't know of any. And I've already kind of gone over this with the team. It's like, what we're doing. I'm even going to have different illustrators work on the levels so that it looks that much different. Like you feel on that retro knockout, it looks how Mario drew it. But on the level where you're surfing and it's like TNC surf design, a different artist would have drawn it. And you feel like, oh man, I'm really in this game now. So that is going to be something kind of new. But as a pioneer, as far as bringing the girls into the gaming industry, 100%, because nobody's done it before. They're too afraid. And that's just all. There's been other people that's tried and they failed because they get that little slap on the wrist. And now everybody's afraid to lose money. Mm-hmm. I'm not afraid. I'm the most dangerous I can be right now because I got nothing to lose. And that's the person you don't want to fight. The guy who doesn't feel like he's got anything to lose is the one you don't want to mess with. And that's me right now.
Nice. Also, going back to these games where you couldn't show sex and nudity and everything. Do you remember on Atari 2600, Custer's Revenge?
Yeah. Running across the top. Pew, 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 up and down and all that. Or no, was that the other one? Custer Revenge had the Indian. It was like Pocahontas or whatever.
Yeah, she was tied up and everything. You get the dude and he goes over there.
Yeah. And there was another one where you ran across the top and you would drop little white pixels.
Yes,
down.
I want to say that's a parody of Crackpots, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I do remember Custer's Revenge, and that's crazy back in the day. Well, now Leisure Suit Larry, which was done, and I do know, and I've spoke to Al Lowe quite a bit. He created the games of Leisure Suit Larry. Al's a nice guy. I tried to get him involved in this project, and he's once again retired, man. It's so funny. I feel like I'm outdated here because the people I'm trying to work with are done. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean? They're retired and they're kind of done with what they're doing, but I'm trying to bring people back. But Leisure Suit Larry was the same way. There was a lot of nudity in that, but it wasn't nudity like full on frontal crazy sex, which is, you don't need that. You know what I mean? But it's a thing to where people also don't realize that there was a game series not too long ago. And I love the game series called Mafia. Did you play the Mafia game?
Yes.
The collectibles in that game was legitimate, full-on Playboys from the 60s, right? And now in the 60s, it wasn't showing things like they are now, but there was bare breasts, there was nipples, there was crack, there was everything in those that you could see and play. But when we tried to do our pinups of Nikki Huntsman, Steam shot us down, even though, because they say they can't have real-world images that are sexualized. So it's okay for Mafia to do it because that's 2K and they make millions. But if I try to do it, that's against the rule. That's what I face.
Dang, so if you got the money, you can show the honey, basically. Yeah.
Pretty much. But if you have $9.99 you can buy the art book for Retro Knockout and I do show there. It's 69 glorious pages of all the art Oleg Akunov done and all the pixel and the sprites of the boxers that Mario did, and we show the banned Steam images of because you remember Topps cards.
Yeah, of course.
So I created Topps Off. So in every
okay. Yeah.
And every one of the Topps Off, Nikki is either fully nude or topless. And so for two of them, she's a bikini, but it's nothing sexual about it. Like, I mean, there's no guy there with her. She's not doing anything over. It's soft core poses. It's pinups, no different than a 1960s Playboy. But that's why our release date got pushed back. Because it took over a month going back and forth of me, and I did everything they wanted me to do. I never said no or blah, blah, blah. I questioned things because that's what you need to do to make progress. Okay, why can they do that? Why can they do that? I didn't shoot questions like that, but it's like I told them, okay, well, we made it this way because this game made it that way, and you're selling it right now. And then you don't get a response about that.
Right.
Valve is very, 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 very I gotta be careful what I say here, but Valve is they pick and choose what they want to do and what rules they want to enforce and when they want to enforce it. And the bad thing about Valve, and I don't take it personally because I've jumped on forums, I've jumped on Reddit, I've talked with other game developers, and I see this has happened not just with nudity, but with time and time again. Valve, people feel like it's who they get the day they get that support representative and how they feel that day. It's not like who you're going to get for support and they're going to follow rules and give you guidelines and give you feedback to where you understand what they're saying. They're going to copy and paste an answer and they're going to change a few words and you're going to read it and go, that doesn't really apply to what I just asked you.
Right.
What?
You're talking to a bot now. Yes.
Listen, man, I have worked over the last 25 years in so many different offices in the IT realm, and I've worked closely with support because sometimes we set their phones up, we help them program this right, and I have never. I'm talking from a low business, like a low, like a small company, to a medium business to a larger company. I have never in my life seen a support department that didn't keep their tickets. Meaning, okay, if I call in and I get Dean right, and you open a ticket with me, it's going to show that Dean worked on that and you're going to finish that and you're going to close that ticket out because that's part of your quota, right? When you work with Valve, you might get Bill and then the next time you talk on it, it's Mary and then it's Julie and it's Kayleen and it's like, and then they don't even acknowledge what just already happened. So it's like you've got to do the same stuff over again. Like on the review process, they said, okay, we need you to do these 6 things. I did those 6 things in 3 hours and sent it back. I hear back 11 days later from someone else that says, okay, great. Now do these 3. Why didn't you tell me that up front? Right? I mean, and that's the frustration that you got to go with a company that's too big to run itself. They don't have enough employees. YouTube's the same way. How many times have we seen so many people upset at YouTube for an algorithm hitting them and it's impossible for them to talk to a human being, right? Valve's no different. I'm not trying to say anything bad about them. We've got a game published on there, but there's a better way to do things. There is a better way to do things than to pass your tickets around and have different people tell you something every single time you talk to them. Because you, as a developer, Steam should want you, Valve and Steam, they should want you to succeed. If we don't make money, you don't make money, Steam. So why are there all these problems? Why are these so many so many hoops I got to jump through, so many things I got to do? Why can't we just be straight and talk? Like, for me to put in a support ticket as a developer and it not be seen for 11 days, I think is outrageous.
Right. I don't want to get too much into your business with Valve or anything, but you're using them to host your game. Is the cut kind of like 80-20, 70-30? Or?
Yeah, 70-30.
70-30.
That's known. That's nothing. That,
Okay.
That's not. No, I mean, I can't talk about like sales numbers. A lot of that is kind of NDA, like blocked and stuff. But no, it's but like they can work. For example, Rockstar, I bet Rockstar gets an 80-20, maybe an 85-15 because they're big enough to say, listen, You don't give us 85, we don't release on your platform, right? Somebody like me, I don't get to call that, and I understand it, and that's fine. So yeah, anybody, like if you was to make a game right now, all you had to do is pay $100 for an application to get your Steam page. So it's a $100 application fee, and then they will take 70% of the cut right off the top. So like, for example, just to make it simple, let's say in the month of August, I make $100,000. I'm only going to see 70,000 of it. Like that 30,000, I don't even see. It's just like they will deposit 70K into my bank account, and then I've got to pay the publisher or the employees, and then I get taxed on that, right? So then that all starts whittling down from the net.
Was there any doubt, since you had the little delay, and it was just like, well, I'm just going to put it on a private server?
Well, yes and no. I think we're not big enough yet to do that. I don't think anybody would show up because it's too much of a hassle.
Yeah, but you got that money in Kickstarter within an hour. How many hours? Was it 5 hours?
1 hour.
1 hour, yeah.
Yeah, but that was all to make the game though. Like that money didn't just hit my bank account so I can leave it there. That was all gone. Like, we used that money to pay people to do them. Like we added extra songs, like the the song No Cheesy Way Out.
Yeah, there's no cheesy way.
Yeah, right, no cheat code home. Well, that costs hundreds of dollars. Per songs between $500 to $1,000 per song for having it made, and depending on Marcel's working on it and everything. So yeah, that song came out of that, and we had a lot of extras that came from that. So that money was actually going on to make the game, and it wasn't any extra money that I could actually use to do anything extra with. Now, if we would have had a Kickstarter like and made like 120,000 or something, then yeah, what you said would make sense. But no, but to finish answering that question, it was a situation where, I was worried, but I wasn't. I knew I wasn't doing anything wrong. I knew I was following the rules. But at the same time, there's people out there that don't always care and will shoot you down because of who you are and what you're trying to do. So I was worried about that, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, Vanilla, I care. Apparently, a lot of people care. Your game is out there. Hey, how can people get in touch with you if they want to?
Really, the best way is Discord. We got a Discord link, and hopefully we'll put that down into the description here. You guys can come over. I talk with people just about daily in the chat room, as long as they're being reasonable. All right, and everything's going on. Our Twitter, or X, is we have two. But the company one is newer. I built the company one as for the future, as we have multiple games, and that can be a catch-all. But at the VanillaBeast for Twitter. Don't use Instagram much. So I would say between Discord and our main website too, there's a contact form on there, and I do read those. So if you was to use the contact form or email me directly from the website, I will read that.
All right. Links down below in the description, people. Vanilla, thank you for blessing me with this interview. I wish you well in the game, and I hope you get ported over. It's been Talking with Dean, people.